Online shopping in the time of COVID-19 is the perfect solution to avoid the shops and stay safe, yet still allows a shopper to attack Black Friday or Christmas sales. But what if the online store you choose ends up never delivering what you've ordered? Well, that's exactly what thousands of people say happened to them with Mr. Shopper.
I bought a 6 kg front-loaded D5 washing machine.
I made a purchase on the 27th of November 2020.
We purchased a INEX above ground swimming pool.
I bought a PlayStation that was meant to be a Christmas present for my kids.
The fridge was worth 54,849 rands and 22 cents.
Launched in May 2020, everything seemed legitimate with slick advertising campaigns to compete with other online retailers.
I was looking for something and the usual big retailers didn't have stock. So I looked on Google and found Mr. Shopper and the pricing seemed reasonable.
As an IT professional, Peter Wallace thought he'd be immune to such scams, but he became frustrated when his delivery didn't arrive.
We bought on the 29th of December and they promised delivery on, it was a Sunday. And my wife still remarked that how come they can deliver this on a Sunday? And the Sunday came and went and nothing happened. So I sent them a mail and got just a whole lot of excuses. So I said, you know what, rather just do a refund. And then they said, fine. And about a month went by and I realized that here was a serious problem.
Carte Blanche has received almost 100 complaints about Mr. Shopper, with 1,000 more online. Even a Mr. Shopper South Africa official hate page group on Facebook.
Up until now, we haven't received anything. If you do get hold of anybody, you just get empty promises.
To this date, I'm still waiting for my refund.
I haven't received anything yet.
I asked for a refund on numerous occasions after realizing that I'd probably never get a trampoline.
Wallace is compiling a list of angry customers.
I get an average spend of 4,571 Rand per person. We're talking about a possible 24 million Rands worth of fraud that could have been done here. And that's just the invoices we know about.
Wallace went all out. He complained to the online payment platform PayFast, and the company said it ceased processing payments in December 2020. The hosting internet service provider AfriHost took the site down in March after non-payment by Mr. Shopper. It said it could only provide information to law enforcement. So we have informed the South African Police Service and have been told that it intends combining all the cases. South Africa is one of the only countries in the world that actually takes websites down. However, the banks, the payment methods, and even the website hosting services cannot divulge an alleged scammer's details to angry consumers. And perhaps this is the law that these scammers are relying on, because while the website can be taken down, you'll never know who they are. Acting Commissioner Joseph Slolo says the National Consumer Commission's investigation has just begun.
Jointly with the Consumer Goods Services Ombudsman, we have received in excess of 150 complaints. And we are investigating if there is any contravention of the Consumer Protection Act. If we find that there was prohibited conduct, we prosecute the persons involved and request that consumers be refunded.
Hosting sites like AfriHost, who host such websites that have scammed people, what responsibility do they have?
They do not necessarily vet the information. However, it would be of great assistance if such entities would then adopt a stance that says, we don't want to taint ourselves, let's do a little bit of research.
Are these scammers sitting in a small room and one does an online shopping scam and this and the other? How does it work?
Look, it's fairly easy what we've seen to create a website, but the first thing is to identify the people behind these scams. And that's really, really, really difficult.
So how difficult is it to track down an alleged scamster? We asked My Broadband's investigative journalist 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗆.
And they use at least fake identities and sometimes stolen identities so that when the authorities come after them, they chase their tails. And that's how they get away with it.
But we were up for that challenge. First, we found a company called Mr. Shopper CC. But it was a dead end as it had been deregistered in 2011. Next, we went to their Midrand offices, and a guard there gave us our first clues, saying some of them were foreign nationals, even naming those in charge.
He's a younger guy, roughly 25, 23. So yeah, 80 and Brandon, two names.
The guard says these guys have done a runner and disappeared. But we were quite curious to find out who is behind Mr. Shopper. So, as Carte Blanche, we decided to seek the research help of those who can crawl the complicated interweb to track these scammers through their digital footprint. We reached out to Trinity and her team, who are experienced in tracing individuals online.
A lot of effort was put into creating not just a website, but an identity around Mr. Shopper. They created social media sites, a website, they created positive reviews online. What we've done to track the people involved in Mr. Shopper, in this sense, is passive digital footprinting that we conducted, who was involved with the domain, what email addresses were linked. We have a look at whose cell phone numbers were associated with specific social media accounts. And so we start to build a profile of all the individuals involved.
Trinity identified the stock footage used to sell their website and products. So they plonked it on the side, the Mr. Shopper logo.
Yeah, and made these videos.
Fast and reliable delivery.
Not really.
Through this tracing exercise, we followed several leads and identified the following characters: Eddie, Brendan, Lebogang, Brian, and Sean, and a woman named 𝗀𝗧𝗵𝗶𝘀, who was linked to the company's WhatsApp number.
We came across an interesting advert using exactly the same telephone number, advertising, all you need for tonight, just call and I will come to you.
Come to you for what?
Well, I'm not too sure, but I suppose you could use your imagination.
In a lucky break, the domain registration information was also leaked to our tracers, identifying the new owner as South African 𝗀𝗍𝗵𝗶𝘀. We went to her registered address, but no one knew her. So we called her.
We're doing a story about a website called Mr. Shopper. You're aware of the website Mr. Shopper, correct?
Yes.
And it's registered under your name?
Yes.
And Elisa, you know, we've received thousands of complaints. People go onto your website, they purchase items, they pay for them, and they never get delivered. So that's a scam.
They do get delivered, but at times there are some delays that happen. And they do get explanations, but then some customers, they don't want, so they do get their refunds back.
It's not one or two people, as you're putting it, or some delays. Because people have made orders as far as last year, October, and they haven't received their items. It sounds like a scam to me.
No, it's not. It's not. The thing is, there are many people who have ordered their things, especially last year. So, like everyone we're actually getting to assist everyone at the moment. I understand that there are people who never got their orders maybe last year and their refunds. But everyone is going to be assisted and is getting assisted.
We also asked 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀 who works for her.
How many people?
I have like about 4.
4 people?
Yes. It's a lot of pressure.
So you own the company and the 4 people are your employees?
Yes.
We set up an interview for the next day in Pretoria, but she didn't pitch, so we tracked her to the Eastern Cape, catching her in the early morning. Her story then completely changed.
I have no idea about Mr. Shopper. Maybe it might be people who are using my details without me knowing. Yes.
What we noted about the packages is that they were meant to be sent using a shipping company called Pelican Express. A Google search shows that the website is down. But what's even more suspicious is when this company came about.
What was unusual about Pelican Express as well, it was also a company, brand new, single director, registered in July 2020. And we thought it was a little odd that, again, this courier company being used by Mr. Shopper was registered around the same time that Mr. Shopper started trading.
So we called the owner, 𝗀𝗍𝗵𝗶𝘀, who lives in this complex in Pretoria.
You own Pelican Express, you're the director.
Yes.
Mr. Shopper has run off with all these people's money, and we're using Pelican Express, so you're implicated in this. Did you know that?
No.
Did you guys ever deliver packages for Mr. Shopper?
Yes.
Did you know it was a scam?
No. We are still operating.
It's just that you guys have no website, so I've never heard of Pelican Express.
Can I call you some other time?
Did you speak to Brendan or Eddie from Mr. Shopper?
Not yet. That's what I'm saying. I need to call some of them and then find out what's going on.
She never called back and never gave up the numbers. It seemed Eddie was the missing piece to this puzzle. Trinity dug deeper and located a man named Edwin, a web developer who retweeted several Mr. Shopper tweets.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You can consider this. That's what you could be.
Despite 𝗀𝗵𝗶 and Edwin being Facebook friends, they both bizarrely claim they don't know each other.
Do you know somebody called 𝗀𝗵𝗶?
I don't know that person. I don't know Eddie.
And despite his denials, his photo was positively identified by a guard as the man who worked at Mr. Shopper headquarters.
Yeah.
That's Eddie.
Yes. And they're so young. They drive fancy cars. You know, the latest Ford Rangers. They knocked down a lot of people, those guys, I tell you. They made money.
Mr. Shopper and its other employees were called and emailed but never responded to multiple requests. However, in a response to a customer, Mr. Shopper says their bank account has been suspended for suspected fraudulent activity and they are sourcing further capital.
These scams are highly syndicated. It's almost like just a normal job. You know, you get dressed smartly, you go into work in the morning, and what you do for a living is you scam people.
We then drew up an organogram on what the Mr. Shopper network looked like. Although it was hard to find those allegedly implicated, we've proved it's not impossible. And hopefully, Mr. Shopper has been all shopped out.